Okay, Prof. May I have your attention, please? Our sharing for today is about to begin. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Honorable Professor Dr. Muhammad Shukri Saleh, our speaker for today, all distinguished guests, professors, associate professors, doctors, brothers and sisters, good morning and Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. My name is Dr. Nourius Leda Hazahari, and I am the moderator as usual for today. We'll be together once a month here with our speaker, inshallah. And to continue what we started with, Alhamdulillahi alladhi hadana lihada wa ma kunna linahtadiya lawla an hadana Allah. Praise to Allah who has guided us to this, and we would never have been guided if Allah had not guided us. Allahumma inni nas'aluka ilman nafi'a wa rizqan tayyiba wa amalan mutaqabbala. O Allah, we ask you for beneficial knowledge, goodly provision, and acceptable deeds. First of all, we would humbly like to welcome all of you to the 5th episode of INHART Monthly Book Talk Series 2023. In this occasion, we would continue a presentation and sharing by our speaker of his book on 7 principles of Islamic-based development. This week would be on topic 5, the 3rd principle, time scale of Islamic-based development. We are very honored to have you here with us today, Prof. May the Almighty Allah protect you and your family and always increase you in knowledge for you to be able to contribute much more that we needed. We would like to remind the audience that you may leave your question anytime in the chat box while the presentation is running. We shall read your questions there when we come to the Q&A session, or you have a choice to unmute yourself and ask the questions directly to our speaker. Without further ado, I would like to welcome our honorable speaker, Prof. Dr. Muhammad Shukri Saleh, and the platform is yours, Prof.
Thank you, Dr. Noor. إلى حضرة النبي المصطفى رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين وإلى حضرات جميع الصالحين وجميع المؤمنين والمؤمنات والمسلمين والمسلمات والأحياء منهم والأموات حضرات جميع الشريعة الشاملة الشمس تعالى الفاتحة أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين. الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين ولا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العظيم. استغفر الله العظيم استغفر الله العظيم استغفر الله العظيم. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Dear brothers and sisters, alhamdulillah, we are able to meet again today for the 5th time. It is our 5th series of the INHART Monthly Book Talk, alhamdulillah. And previously, we have discussed 2 principles of Islamic-based development. And today, inshallah, I'm going to the next chapter, which is dealing with the 3rd principles of the Islamic-based development, which is something to do with the time scale, the time scale of the Islamic-based development, inshallah. So may I share my screen now, inshallah, my slides. Okay. Is it nampak ke, Dr. Noor?
Yes, Prof, we could see the slide.
All right, alhamdulillah. And then now ada 2 compartment, the slides and myself.
Yes, we could see both.
Oh, you can see. Oh, you can see both.
Yes.
But not on my screen. I'm not too sure what happened to my screen. Probably it is something to do with the layout. Yeah. All right, never mind. As not as to recording, there are the 2 compartments. That's good enough, inshallah. Okay. Yeah, the title of our discussion today is the 3rd principles of the Islamic-based development, which is about the time scale. And this is very important for us because we see that in conventional development theories, in conventional development practice, you can see that they are dividing the time scales into at least 3 time scales. Yeah, the first one is the short term, the second one is the medium term, and the third one is the long term. Meaning that every project that they are dealing with, and then the durations of the project usually either short term, 3 months, 6 months, or the medium terms, probably 1 year, and the long terms, it takes probably 5 years, 10 years. So you can see that there are kinds of durations of the Islamic of the constant development plannings and also implementation. We see it from the Islamic perspective, and we realize that actually the time scale that has been fixed with the conventional development is merely confined to this world per se. It's dealing with what is happening in this world, meaning that all either it is short term, medium term, or long term, it is covered in this world and not the world before this or the world after this. For this, there are 2 implications on this. The first one, that they are ignoring the actual complete journey of a development actors. So we believe in Islam that actually all of us, the human beings, the human sapiens, having the journey from the start is beginning from the raw, yeah, in the world of the soul, and then later on we are out of to this world, and then later on we'll go to the world hereafter, inshallah. So actually, what the informational development covers is only the journey in this world alone, and not in the world before, and not in the world after this. So they are actually ignoring the complete journey of a development actor or of development actors as a whole. Yeah. Number 3, or the second implication is that there are missing the world of soul and the world of hereafter. We believe, and in fact, we are told by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the Quran, where before we come into this world, we promise with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the world of soul, yeah, alam ruh, alastu bi rabbikum, qalu bala shahidna, where Allah gather us, yeah, in the form of our souls, all of us, and then Allah asked, do you believe that I am your God and you are my servants? And all of us, qalu bala shahidna, all of us was saying that we take confidence that actually you are Allah, our God, and we are your servants. And it seems that the covenants or the agreement seems to be quite short, but it means a lot to all of us, especially the development actors, because in that covenants or in that agreement, it's actually a manifestations of the blueprints of what we will do in this world, inshallah. That's one. If we miss this world of soul, if we do not take into account in our development projects the promise that we have done with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the world of soul, then actually we miss something, or we miss the very important things of the foundations of the development as a whole. And then also in the conventional development, in the either it is a short-term project or medium-term project or long-term projects, they do not take into consideration the world hereafter, meaning that our journey is not here as the ends of our journey, but we'll go to another world, which is the hereafter, and all our deeds will be evaluated by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and we'll get the reward for that. Yeah, we'll get the reward for that. So you see, in conventional development, theories, the time scale are suffering from the deficiencies of the coverage, the coverage, the durations of the time scale, because they exclude the most important, the two most important world, which is world of soul and the world hereafter. Right? So there is introduction. So you can see the journey of Islamic-based development actors, specifically in particular, in the context of a discussion today, and also as for the human being as a whole, all of us are having a journey, passing the three most important worlds. Yeah, and the first one, as I've said before, is the realm of the soul. We were created by Allah Subhanahu wa Taala in the form of the soul. Yeah, and then this is what we call, we have discussed last month, the soul is in the form of what we call Ruhul Tamayiz. Ruhul Tamayiz promises with Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala that we agree to be the servants of Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, and Allah is actually our God. And then we'll move to the present world, this world, according to our giliran, yeah. Probably I come before all of you because I'm the oldest here, perhaps, yeah. And then we'll come to the present world. But then before we come here, we have to be in the realms of the womb. Yeah. Our mother will get pregnant, and then we'll start our life there until, inshallah, after 9 months, yeah, after 9 months plus, and then we'll come into this world, inshallah, and then we'll go. The next one is to the life hereafter, and then we'll go through two other small worlds. The small is very important, actually, the realms of death, ataupun sakaratul maut, and then we'll be in the alam barzah, the realms of the grave, and then we'll be raised up by Allah Subhanahu wa Taala to be in the life hereafter, to get the reward from Allah Subhanahu wa Taala. So actually, we can say that our journey involves three important worlds, which is the realms of the soul, the present world, and the realms of the life hereafter. And then in between that, in between the realms of the soul and the present world, we'll go through the realms of the womb, yeah. And then in moving to the realms of the life hereafter, we'll go through the realms of death, the sakaratul maut, and then we'll stay there, the realms of barzah, until akhirah and the qiyamah, inshallah, and then we'll be raised up to be in the life hereafter. So in Islamic-based development, we have to take into consideration all these three worlds because it signifies and also manifests a lot of things, yeah. The coverage of the time scale of the Islamic-based development. The first one is the realm of soul. It is actually the realms of covenant. We promised, we agreed, yeah, to Allah Subhanahu wa Taala that we are the servants and vice current, the servants of Allah Subhanahu wa Taala, and Allah is our God. And then that's why we say that the realms of the soul is actually the realms of covenant, meaning that there is a blueprint there. There was a blueprint promised between human beings and Allah Subhanahu wa Taala. The main importance, the very important things in this is this, that we are the servants of Allah Subhanahu wa Taala. This is what we promise with Allah Subhanahu wa Taala, and then Allah is our God. This is the blueprint that must be proved, yeah, in the realms of this present world. So Allah sent us to this present world to see whether, yeah, we act in accordance to what we have promised, and we agreed with Allah Subhanahu wa Taala in the realms of the soul. And this is where we create all sorts of things, but within the frameworks of our promise. Meaning that you can establish a project, a short-term project, but we take into account our promise, meaning that that project must be a way for us to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because Allah is our God and we are the servants of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is what we call the ibadah. So every second in whatever we do, whether it is in the form of the short term or medium terms or long-term projects, there must be within the realms of the promise, the realms of the agreement with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We are free to innovate, we are free to create everything as long as it is in the form of Allah, in the form of worshiping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So actually this world is the world to prove, to implement our promise with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's why I call the realms of this world as a realm of proof. And then later on, inshallah, every one of us will go to the hereafter. And the hereafter is actually the realms of the reward. So it depends on what we are doing here. If you really sticks to the promise of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in this world, in whatever projects that we do, in whatever deeds that we do, inshallah, and then Allah will give a reward, a good reward to us. But vice versa, if it is not, and then we will get the bad reward from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the hereafter. And the hereafter is the eternal world, and will be happier, or will be set in the dependence on what we are doing here. And what we're doing here is depending on whether it is within the covenant with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala or otherwise. So we can see that when we talk about the time scale of development from Islamic perspective, then it covers these three realms. So it cannot be just in the realms of this world. Say, for instance, we are thinking of developing any halal project, for instance, we cannot think only for this world, whether it is short-term, long-term, or medium-term, but we have to think of what we have promised with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. How can that halal project be a way to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and not straying from what we have promised with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that will come in all the mechanisms. For instance, we'll do the halal project. We are not taking any riba. We are not lying. We will prove to the consumers that what is happening, what is the form, the real form of our products, and all sorts of the mechanism must be halal, inshallah. And then Allah will accept us as the ibadah, the worship to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, as what we have promised to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Or even though it seems that our projects are very successful from the financial perspective, and we become very rich, but you still in tawadu, very humble, even though you are rich, because you know that actually you are the servants of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and you are doing that. Allah rewards you with all the success within our belief that God, everything is God given, everything is God is creating that, and then everything is provided by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So be careful. That's why whenever we talk about halal, we talk about the halal commercializations of halal products. We talk about the states of the halal products, and also whatever that in the halal products. So all must be referred to the realms of the soul, inshallah. Yeah, and then inshallah we'll move to the realms of the hereafter, which will get the reward. So we have to take into consideration all these three worlds when we are doing anything in this world, inshallah. Okay, so the summary actually, what I'm trying to say is that the guidelines of development and the Islamic-based development are set in the realms of the world, the real guideline. It is not even though in the process of planning or also implementing our project, in short term, medium term, or long term, we have our own guidelines and also our own blueprints. But remember, do not forget the very blueprints that we have promised with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the realms of the soul. All right. Secondly, development is carried out in the present world just to prove to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that we are doing in accordance to what we have agreed with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the realms of the soul. Yeah, and then we believe that the reward of development, the actual rewards of development will be received inshallah in the life hereafter, not here. So even though probably, say for instance, we have done something, we tried our halal project, but it is not successful from the perspective, from the probably financial perspective or whatever, but because we started with a niyyah that we want to fulfill the promise of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as we have done in the realms of the soul, then definitely we are very convinced that there must be rewards from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So the development success, the real development success can only be measured when we are succeeding in fulfilling the covenants with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the realms of the soul. And the absolute success, finally the absolute success of development is only known in the life hereafter. We do not know here. Yeah, so the ultimate measurements of an Islamic-based development is not in this world, but rather it is in the life hereafter. And the measurement is very simple. If you are enjoying heaven in the life of hereafter, that means that whatever that we are doing here in this world are successful. But otherwise, if we are in the hell, that means that we do not success. We do not have any successful achievement in our endeavors in this world. So I think this is very important for us to understand that whatever that we do in our own disciplinary and what our plans and also implementations that we are doing, remember, do not forget the realms of the soul. Meaning that do not forget our promise with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And remember that whatever that we are doing here is just to prove to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that we are obeying Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as we have promised. And then we know that there will be a reward, either good reward or bad reward from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the life hereafter, meaning that the akhirah, the life of hereafter also cannot be ignored. Yes, definitely, you can see in the Islamic economy, Islamic development, Islamic, anything Islamic, many are talking about the life hereafter, but not many, as I observe, talking about the realms of the soul, the promise of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and to relate to the presence, the doings that we are handling in this world. And that's why it is important for us to highlight that there are two other worlds which must be considered in our time scale, our Islamic-based development time scale or halal time scale, that we need to take into consideration the realms of the soul and the realms of the life hereafter. That's all for today, Dr. Noor. Thank you very much. Wallahu alam. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Thank you very much, Prof. Shukri. I would just like to inform you, Prof, that there were some comments coming in saying that we could actually listen to you clearly. However, the projection of the voice is slow. Perhaps maybe you could get a little closer to the microphone, Prof?
All right.
Oh, okay. So if the setting is that way, I think it's okay. Just let it be, as long as we could at least hear you. Okay. All right, thank you for the informative and enlightening talk, dear Prof. So
Yeah.
brothers and sisters, we have now come to the question and answer session. We shall be reading the question from the chat box if there is any at the moment. We do not have any questions in the chat box. So is there anyone here who would like to communicate your question directly to our speaker? Is there anyone here? Any related questions? So if I could put it into context, today Prof was discussing on the realm of the three worlds, the soul, the present world, and the realm of the life of hereafter. In fact, before going to the realm of the life of hereafter, we have many stages to go there. We have Yawmul Mizan, we have Sakarat, we have Sirat, we have Sirat, yeah, and we have few more before we are going to reap whatever that we have already done as a proof to Allah in this world. And therefore, Prof actually reminded us on this concept, going back to the realm of covenant, the realm of the soul, coming to our present now, the realm of the world, yeah, which we have to try our best to give as an evidence, as proof to Allah for all of our efforts, and to actually reap it in the hereafter at the realm of reward. Yeah. So if there is any more addition, any more sharing, for example, perhaps you are facing any real world situations in your collaborations, for example, or perhaps, Prof, while waiting for others. Oh, okay. Yeah, there is a question from Dr. Zaliha. May I ask if we can have some simple parameters to measure our achievements in the present world? Thank you, Dr. Zaliha.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Zaliha. Yeah, measurement, yeah. I think the achievement in this present world, there are a lot of parameters that are being used by many people. The first one is definitely, and the most popular one is definitely the income. So the levels of the income, and they may say that the higher the level of the incomes, so the more accomplished the life of the people in this world. And from financial perspective, from income perspective, and from asset ownerships, there are a lot of things more. But then I think that is not important, because that not really manifest the real achievements of us, and especially the Muslim in this present world. I remember, yeah, that parameters, that materialistic parameters, the tangible parameters, such as the finance levels, the assets, ownerships level, and all that, was promised by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as the parameters for the non-Muslims. Yeah? For the Muslims, the achievement in this world is definitely the iman and taqwa. The iman and taqwa. So probably Dr. Zaliha may ask, how do you measure the iman and taqwa? Inshallah, we have discussed the levels of iman and taqwa. For instance, so my voice is okay now, right?
Yes, Prof, much better, alhamdulillah.
I'm using another microphone.
I see.
Okay, where were we just now?
Regarding
the measurement, how do you measure the iman and taqwa? We've been talking about the levels of iman and taqwa, iman taqli, iman ilmu, iman ayan, and etc. And at each levels of the iman and taqwa, there are characteristics. We can measure our several characteristics. For instance, the iman taqlid, for instance, is owned by the people who do not have any knowledge about Islam, and even though they practice probably a little bit of Islamic practice, but they just follow it without any knowledge. So we can actually evaluate ourselves. And then the iman ilmu is people with knowledge, but then they do not really practice what they have, the knowledge that they have. And then the third one is iman ayan, who have the knowledge and practice the knowledge. And there are kinds of things, there are kinds of ways that we can measure it. So to measure our achievement in the present world, there definitely the nafs, the level of nafs, the level of iman can be the parameters for it, and the actual output of all these things is the barakah, the barakah. So you can see the barakah. We have less money, but we feel enough and to cover our life with such a kind of nami, as opposed to probably the rich who has a lot of money, but they don't feel any barakah or any happiness in this world. So you feel serenity, you feel very peaceful in your mind. That is the among the parameters of our achievement in this world. So people with higher posts, with higher probably levels of money, level of financial levels, and everything that material, it doesn't mean that you have kind of good achievement in this world, but it doesn't mean that we are against the rich. We are against the richness of the people, but then the most important thing is the peacefulness and also the serenity of our mind and our heart, inshallah. And we feel that we are good with good attributes in us, and that is actually the real achievement, inshallah. But if you feel dissatisfied with everything, and you feel that people are not good, you are only one who is good, that means that you are not ready. Actually, Imam Ghazali, I can remember, I just remember Imam Ghazali was saying that people who are getting the hidayah, the tawfiq of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, are the people you can measure. If you think that you are good in all aspects, you do not see any deficiency in your attributes, then that is the problems. You don't really achieve the barakah to achieve the accomplishment in this world. But you feel that even though you are a professor, you are whatever post that you are holding in a higher post, and then you think that I have a lot of bad attributes still. You feel the weaknesses that you have, and then that shows that Allah is giving you the success life in this world, inshallah. And by that you keep on improving, inshallah, until you go to see Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the hereafter with a lot of peacefulness, inshallah. Right. Thank you, Dr. Noor.
Thank you very much, Prof, for answering Dr. Zaleha's question just now. And we have another one by Sister or Dr. Noor Kamaria. In my opinion, I think majority of us Muslims are aware of the basic measurement. Means examples, dosa, pahala, syurga, neraka, wajib, sunat, syubhat, etc. Unfortunately, the knowledge is not being put into practice properly due to the thinking of to consume or choose to comply to the Sharia law that best suits to their interests, which too much of it can lead in becoming a secularist. So please advise how we are to bring together the mind and heart towards the agenda of self-development, being a true Muslim.
This is from Dr. Noor Kamaria, yeah?
Yes.
Yeah, Dr. Noor Kamaria. Thank you, Dr. Noor. Yes, you can do it either individually or by Jum'ah. By Jum'ah. And definitely doing it individually is much more difficult than doing it in Jum'ah. we can always measure, for instance, our salat. If you were to salat, to observe our salat alone, and we can hardly do in the sunnah prayer, but in the mosque, together with the Jama'ah, you feel that it is very simple, very easy to observe the sunnah prayers, and then you Allah makes you easy to be in the Jama'ah. So meaning that I think to stick to our mind, to be the servants of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and vibrations of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we have to be in the Jama'ah, in the groups together. And definitely when you are in the group, there must be a leader. And the leader is not only a leader, but also a guru, a teacher to you, such as in the case of Rasulullah SAW. Rasulullah SAW is not only the leader of the Sahaba, but at the same time, Rasulullah SAW is also the teacher of the Sahaba, giving knowledge. So meaning that if you are alone, it's very difficult to get to comply to whatever that you believe in, but it's very difficult to comply to it, to practice it. But when we're in a group, then it's much easier. Moreover, if you have a good teacher, a good leader in that group. Yeah, and that's why in ISTAF, for instance, we always say that ISTAF is actually a Juma'ah. ISTAF is actually an academic Juma'ah. It's not merely an academic institutions. And then we try to operate, to run the center as a Juma'ah. So meaning that there is a leader, there's a guru there, and definitely the leader is a director, and the guru is a director, and then below him is the lecturers. The lecturers are the gurus of the students, and they're also the leaders of the students, and the students are the students, and also the followers, the disciples of the gurus. So in such a connection, in such a way, in such a situation, we can feel that the barakah and whatever they want to practice together, it is very easy to practice together, inshallah. And we can feel that whenever we are away from the groups, we can see that we have been straying with a lot of negotiation, compromises, which is some of them are probably against what we are trying to, what we believe and what we're trying to practice. Right, Dr. Noor?
Thank you very much, Prof. There is a continuation to it. Be in Jama'ah and good guru and leader, mashallah. No wonder in Islam, being a Khalifa comes first because it's emphasis on team. Because when we look at leadership, there must be followers, mashallah. Shukran for the explanation. Yes, if I could add to it, I remember there was this time even our Prophet Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam wanted to go outskirts. So he actually appointed one of the Sahaba to be the leader at that time when he was not there. So I think in the realm of ours, Prof, we are afraid to be leader, including myself. When people push me to the front, I said, no, please, tafaddal. I said, please, you lead. He says, no, you lead. It's one of our problem as well. We do not have the courage to lead because I think that the connotation comes negatively when you lead something. People will always say behind your back. People will always feel dissatisfaction. People do not have any sense to agree to disagree. That means. Then when Dr. Noor Kamaria put it just now, you see how we ought to bring together the mind and the heart. There is a saying that I remember that first we have to actually force our heart to Allah. And later on, our heart will force us to Allah instead. So to make that happen, I think the tarbiyah takes a longer time. And when Dr. Zaliha actually asked the questions of about when you replied on Jama'ah, Prof, yeah, just now. To measure the achievement in the world. So let's say, Prof, this is a question coming from me. When we have a collaboration, a project, for example, so of course it is not right for us to think that we are the only right person in the group. Yeah, so we always stay back. We always be humble. We try ourselves not to lead, and we try ourselves not to overshadow others because we know our experience are lacking. But somehow, Prof, in our group, it seems that when we lose our or our intention has been diluted. At first, yes, we want to do everything for Allah. And then as the time goes by, our intention gets diluted, Prof. And we didn't realize that. And we didn't have anyone in the group to actually tell us that. How to check and balance this, Prof? Well, that is my question, Prof.
Yeah. Like what Dr. Noor Kamaria was saying here is, but to be frank, we are afraid of the post meaning that post.
Very true.
The leader, yeah.
Yes, very true.
Yeah, I think it is fair to be afraid of it because you are accountable, and then you'll be asked by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala about your role as a leader. But then if you are created or probably fated by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to be a leader, actually a leader is chosen by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We have to differentiate, yeah. There are leaders who are chosen by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There are leaders chosen by people, yeah. There are leaders who push themselves to be the leaders. So we have to be aware of this, and inshallah we can see, for instance, Talut, yeah. This is told by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the Quran, when Bani Israel was asking for a leader to go against their enemies, the Romans, and then they went to see Nabi Samuel, and then Nabi Samuel was told by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the leader should be Talut. And Talut is not a well-known person. He lives in way in the rural areas, and nobody knows, and no assets, no ownerships, no harta. And then the Mala'un, and the big people of the Bani Israel were surprised, because when they asked for a leader, they assumed that Allah will choose them, will choose one of them. But in contrary, Allah chose Talut, so they refused to accept Talut. As I said, Talut is one of the examples that actually a leader is chosen by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's not really neat. But then we can see that there are a lot of people also who naturally, probably in our case now, at our times, it's very difficult to identify or whether one is being chosen by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala or not. We cannot say, I'm a leader now because Allah chose me. We cannot say that, because there is no clear justification for that, or clear evidence for that. But then sometimes we will see among ourselves, and we can see that probably one seems to be quite outstanding from all of us, and it's just naturally that he can lead, he can teach wisely, and he is fair, and he's done justice, he have a lot of knowledge, and then automatically we accept him or her as a leader. This is a natural leader that actually probably was chosen by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to be our leader, And so if there is no direct chosen by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as been done to Talut, probably in our case now, at our present times, probably can feel that our heart is accepting that he should be the leader. He should be the leader, or she should be the leader, automatically, naturally, because they have the charisma, he has the charisma, or all the strengths that he has. But be aware of a person who highlights themselves to be a leader. This is very difficult, to be a leader. And we read the history of Islam, for instance. We read the history of Abu Zar, who went to Rasulullah SAW asking for a post. But Rasulullah was saying, no, you are not fit for this post. You are not fit for this post, because if you ask for a post, Allah will not be together with you. But if you are given a post, then inshallah Allah will be together with you. Allah will support you. Allah will give you assistance, and Allah will help you in any way that you are fulfilling your leadership task. So we have to identify that, and definitely we can see actually. Say for instance, already a group of people with a leader. We can observe this leader is really a natural leader chosen by Allah Subhanahu wa Taala, or created by himself, or whatever. And then if you satisfy that actually this is the leader that we want, and we think that this is chosen by Allah, he is chosen by Allah Subhanahu wa Taala, and follow him. But remember, the prerequisites of a leader, is he observe Tawheed very carefully, he observe Sharia, and also he follow Tasawwuf, meaning that we have to consider, we have to see it from three perspectives. What is the level of his Tawheed? If he's really into the Tawheed, and then inshallah, one prerequisite is passed. And then we see how about the Sharia. We can see that there is a leader. So there are leaders, for instance, who are very, very knowledgeable about the Tawheed, about God, but at the same time, the Sharia is not really practiced. And the mixture of the woman and the man, and so this kind of leader cannot be the real leader. But if he is, and then the second prerequisite is fulfilled. And the third one is the self. The self means that the purifications of the heart, the attributes, the deeds, the behavior of him, with, for instance, with the humbleness, or with his whatever good attribute that he has, to showing or manifesting his purification of his heart, for instance, and then the third prerequisite is fulfilled. So I'm sure that some of you have your own leader, you have your own groups. Alhamdulillah, if you are satisfied with him, go ahead. But for those who are thinking of following a leader and to be in a group, just observe that. The Tawheed, the Fiqh, the Sharia, and also the Akhlaq. There's something to do with Tasawwuf. So these three aspects has to be observed, inshallah. Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much, Prof. Shukri. Is there anyone out there who would like to unmute yourself? Okay, we have one here. Okay, from Dr. Nurazilawati. Prof, I have a question. We are now really depending on science and technology in today's digitalized world. We sometimes think, or most of the times, we find ourselves losing sight of these fundamental principles, particularly in the emerging issues like mental illness as an impact of post-COVID-19. People cannot balance their ultimate focus in this life. Could you please share your advice on how we can better prepare ourselves for this world before transitioning to the next phase, which is the realm of Alam Barzakh?
Quite difficult questions. How to better prepare ourselves for this world before transitioning to the next phase. I think Rasulullah SAW has given us all the guidances. And also for the last few months, we were also talking about the level of Iman, the level of Nafs, and these are all the guidelines for us to improve ourselves, to prepare ourselves to be. And today we talk about the covenants, the promise, our promise with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the realms of the soul. And that also is very important to be for us to refer to and to regard it, to accept it as a guideline for us to move into the next world. So the simple things to do is that just stick to Tawheed very firmly, and then practice the Sharia firmly, and then be a good person with the highest akhlaq that you can be. And then inshallah you'll be safe in the hereafter, inshallah. So if you have the iman, the taqwa, you are controlling your nafs, you have your Tawheed, Sharia, and also Akhlaq, inshallah. That can be the guidelines, the blueprints that you can use to transit to the next world successfully, inshallah. So all the guidelines are there. All the guidelines are there, and if you read Hadith and the Quran, and we can see that a lot of things have been given to us to be the guidelines, inshallah.
Thank you, Prof. And I hope that answers Dr. Norazilawati's question. And Prof, I think the gist that I could get from your advice is, I think the parameter itself is ourself. We can know when we are astray, looking at our own ibadah, looking at our own situation. Yeah, Prof, perhaps some would have a problem of, when you look into yourself, you know that there is so many things wrong with you, so many things lacking that you would like to achieve, that you would like to do, but you can't. Yeah, then how to start, or where to start, Prof? When you know that you are, having lacking in yourself, you want to improve, but where to start, Prof? Is it start with Salah first, or start with finding a teacher first, or having a good jama'ah with you, or how, Prof?
Yeah, it depends on what you are lacking of. Yeah, if you're lacking of knowledge, so you should seek for a teacher, definitely a good teacher. Yeah, if you are lacking of a good akhlaq, and then you can try yourself to be good, to improve your akhlaq, but it is much more effective if you have a teacher to guide you to improve on that. Yeah, I was talking about the tariqah, about the Sufi, who has their own respective teacher, who give you the zikr, who give you the medicines to prescribe the medicines for your whatever that you're lacking of, the teacher. Yeah. But then if you can see, if you think that you can improve it by your own. So for instance, I was told by one of my ustaz, he was saying that as much as possible, as far as possible, try to have a place in your house for you to halwa, for you to sit down alone, think of yourself, doing the muhasabah, and then try to improve it. He was telling me that Sayyidina Umar ibn al-Khattab, for instance, when he was Amarul Mu'minin, he stayed up at night, and on his hand, on the left hand, he has a diary, and then on his right hand, he has ratans, kayu, and he has a lot full of lists of what he has been doing for the day. So whenever he thinks that what he has done is a kind of sinful for him, but not necessarily for us, and then he will start to apa dia panggil pukul, to pukul himself with the rattan. So that was why when he passed away, the Sahaba who was managing his janazah saw a lot of marks on his back, and when asked his wife, and that what the wife was saying, every night he woke up at night, stay alone, and then try to do the muhasabah, to evaluate himself, what he has done for the day, and then try to improve, and whatever that sinful that he thinks that he was doing, and then he punish himself, and so that Allah, hopefully that Allah will forgive him. So for us, I think it's good for us in a day, try to sit down, whatever that you can think of yourself, try to evaluate of yourself and relate it to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If you think that you have done something bad or something sinful, and then seek forgiveness from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So I'm not too sure in Kuala Lumpur, but probably if you stay in Terengganu or in Kelantan or in Kedah, you still manage to have probably your own house with a small room for your halawah, and that is good. But if you can do that in Kuala Lumpur also, that is better, I think, yeah. So you can sit anywhere alone and then try to evaluate yourself. But if you think that you're not able to overcome whatever your weaknesses, and then try to find a teacher. And always evaluate the teacher first, yeah. Try to evaluate the teacher, and as I've said just now, the guidelines is the Tawhid, his Sharia, and also his Akhlaq. Yeah. Thank you, Dr.
Thank you, Prof. Inshallah. So if we really need help in the worldly realms, we have to find people, we have to, find guidance, we have to find knowledge. And if we really need the help for ourselves, then we should really be getting back to Allah. I remember, Prof, one of the murshid, one of the teachers told me that if you really are in need and you have trouble within yourself, dial 222. And when we asked, what do you mean by dial 222? He said that first, wake up at 2 a.m. in the morning. Second, pray 2 rak'ah of sunnah prayer. Third, cry double the time that you cry during the day for whatever worldly matters. So he said, dial 222. That is your SOS, save our soul, calling to our Allah. And he says that try to do this. And another tips that he gave was, we can't punish ourselves like what Sayyidina Umar did to himself, but what we can try is punish ourselves with istighfar, with whatever things that we think that it doesn't go like the way we planned. So take that as a punishment. Istighfar, made istighfar for, like, for example, few hundreds, 1,000 istighfar for what, the things that you feel that you shouldn't have done at that time. But of course, in reality, don't take that istighfar as a punishment. That should be the purification of your soul with Allah, So I think it worked to a certain extent to some. Or perhaps others could try to help. Then there is also a question, Prof, and people says that, what about when people says, comparing to waking up during doing your tahajjud and making qada of your salat. Some people says you cannot wake up and do your tahajjud if your obligatory prayer is not qada. And then when that person listen to this, his feelings get diluted away. He says that, I really wanted to go into that dialing 222. When I say this, there is another opinion saying that you should actually focus on your qada prayer, not only on your, starting to do your tahajjud. So that's why, Prof, I think somehow we get confused and we get demotivated in trying to achieve our ibadah. Maybe any advice from you, Prof?
I don't know for sure about that discussion. I heard about that also. Meaning that you have to fulfill all, to complete our qada first, and then you can do the sunnah. I'm not too sure which one is right. Some say that you can do both at the same times, but I'm more inclined to the opinion that we can do both, because you want to wait until you do all the qada, then I'm afraid that you don't have enough time for that, for the other additional ibadah. So I'm inclined for that, but definitely I'm not the ustaz, and you should ask the real ustaz to give all the evidences from hadith and also Al-Quran, and then uni. And then back to the punishment, the other things which you raised about the punishment of yourself, I think is good, because this is also the traditions of the Sahaba. For instance, we were told that Sayyidina Abraham bin Auf, who was very rich, and one day he was waiting for his Kabilah to return, and then while waiting that he missed the prayer, the Asar prayer together with Allah, with Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, meaning that he was masbuk. And after the prayer, he came to Rasulullah sallallahu asking Rasulullah what happened to me, because waiting for the Kabilah to come with all the revenues, with all the assets, and then I was straight by it till I was late to join you for the prayer. So Rasulullah was said that if all whatever in this world is belong to you, and you want to pay for want to compensate for the missings of the takbir together with me just now, and you cannot pay it. And as a punishment, Sayyidina Abraham Bewa was saying that Rasulullah as I would like to repent, and as a punishment to me, whatever that will arrive soon with the Kabilah, the camels, the assets, the products, whatever that they have, I give it to Islam. Yeah, I give it to Baitul Mal. So it's a kind of punishment. Apart from Sayyidina Umar was punishing with that kind of things, but you can also punish yourself with that kind of whatever that you own. So for instance, if you feel that today you have done something wrong, you have done something bad, and then give sadaqah to anybody by the niyat that, Ya Allah, this is my compensation. I know that I have done something bad, I have done something sinful. So as a compassion, so that hopefully that you can forgive me. So bagi duit, and then go to help the poor, whatever that you can do, give it to the Baitul Mal or whatever that good deeds that you are doing. That will be also a kind of punishment that you can do to yourself to improve yourself, inshallah. Yeah.
Thank you, Prof.
Now we are talking about this world. We're not covering the world of the soul and the world hereafter. But remember, we are talking about our life now. We are talking about not talking about our project. But hopefully that in our project also, whatever that you do, whatever that we do, it can be punished. You can punish yourself also whenever that you feel that you have done something wrong or something sinful, inshallah.
Alhamdulillah. The discussion went well. Is there any more questions from the audience? Please, because we will never see Prophet until inshallah next month. Yeah, so this is our chance. This is you know, our time to actually express out whatever that is, you know, behind our mind, in our heart, that we couldn't speak up or we couldn't discuss with others. Perhaps take this platform to share. Or even if you do not have questions, if you have anything to share, for example, with our topics, related to our topics today, please go ahead. Is there anyone out there who would like to share? This is a very good time for us to muhasabah, and after this we could continue looking back into and reflect whatever that we have done, and always renew our intention and become a renewed person every day, as we don't have to wait for the new year, yeah, for the New Year's resolution. Every day is a New Year's resolution. So if there is no other questions, is it okay, Prof, if we end our session for today?
Yes, yes.
Right. We have finally come to the end of our 5th episode of INHART Monthly Book Talk Series 2023. We would really like to thank our honorable speaker, Prof. Dr. Muhammad Shukri Saleh, and all the audience for your participation. Hopefully the sharing here would benefit us all. May Allah grant us all with tawfiq and hidayah. Thank you for your time and attention. May we have a blessed Friday ahead, and not forgetting a thoughtful wish on the 6th of Rabi'ul Awwal and a happy Mawlid in advance for next week. Yeah, and in fact, this month is the whole Mawlid month. May all our deeds be accepted by the Almighty Allah. Hope to see you again next month, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.